Hello everyone, this is Diane. I'm ready to show these journals to you and let you know that they will be in my shop today at, well, I'm going to be gone all day Wednesday. I'm putting these in the shop on Wednesday and I'm going to be gone all day. So I'm just going to have them in the shop at 8 o'clock in the morning, like when the video goes up. So they'll be in the shop at 8 o'clock this morning Eastern time. I'll go through them in just a moment, but I want to show you what will be coming, with the journals. I have a pack of goodies for each journal as usual, and as usual there are assorted scraps from the papers that I use, quite a few different pieces. This is from a 1916 or 1912 catalog that I owned at one time, and I made a copy. I made digitals with it, so you have a digital of that. But this is a genuine piece, and these are postcards that were cut from scrapbook paper. This is a genuine piece from the 1930s or 40s. These are all genuine from magazines. That is a digital, but it was copied from a book that I had. This is genuine. So you have two digital pieces and a few playing cards, Robert E. Lee Riverboat and Ivory Soap, and a slide, a vintage photographic slide. And there are different but similar pieces in the next bundle. So let's just take this one. This one is called The American, because that's the name of the magazine. And so this beautiful image from a magazine cover from the 1930s, I believe, was Mod Podged onto this. It's actually not Mod Podge, it was matte medium that I used this time. There's a file folder and then scrapbook paper and then this image. And I wrapped the front edge with fabric and the spine with a quilted comforter piece. And there is another image from the 1930s on the back with another fabric. I used these metal pieces to hide the ends of the seam binding, so you can tie it up with seam binding. Added some lace underneath this piece, and there are tapestry fabric pieces on the corners and some, again, metal pieces on the front corners, not on the back. Let me give you a measurement because these are big books. 8.5 by 11, I think. Yeah, they're 8.5 by 11, and it's just a file folder that I kept intact. I just trimmed it. There's another American magazine image on the inside. Now these Mod Podged images are bumpy, just so you know. This is scrapbook paper, and I had to make my pages bigger. You'll see that on the other side. Here is a nice pocket that's like a very cottony, thick paper. And these images were cut from a magazine. Some beautiful detailing on waists. And this is from the cover of a sewing magazine, I believe, from the 1930s. I love the vibrant colors. And look at the beautiful wallpapers. And it's backed with cardstock and decorated with lace. Lots of space for writing on that. And I tucked in an antique postcard. 1912. And on the back of this scrapbook paper, I just glued this scrapbook paper that looks like a ledger, so you can write and it's not just plain white. And these are from a vintage magazine, and this was cut from scrapbook paper, so it's just an extra space to write the date, maybe the weather, whatever, and then you can write the details of your day. Here we have a page, or the cover, from a flute lesson book, and it's got the date 1958 written up there. This is from a book about the 1890s maybe. But this is a picture of Miss America contestants. And then I added this vintage trim with butterflies on it. Must be 1920s. This was the 1921 first contest for Miss America. Here is a teacher's planning book page, and I sprayed it with just some spray colors. And there's a stamped word up here. It says Fancy Goods. She's a genuine article from a magazine. This is a digital, and this is stamped and embossed. I had lots of fun decorating these pages. This is just a little piece of wallpaper that you can take and use wherever you'd like to in the book. This is wallpaper. And this is a vintage receipt for the Meredith Bottling Works in Towanda, Pennsylvania. And I cut this cardstock in a wavy shape and added this tall, slender 1930s magazine lady here with a bit of vintage embroidered lace right there, or trim. So I did, even though these are tall pages, I still had to trim a little bit off the bottom of these tall ladies, but I was glad to have a chance to use some of the very tall ones. It's just the back of the wallpaper. You could probably paint on that if you wanted to. Here is a thin lace paper. And on this map page, I have 5 little sheets on this tablet that I made, and this was part of a video showing how I did this and attached it to the page. So you can actually open this up and take the pages off and then add more pages if you want to after you use this for lists or notes or whatever. If you want to. I would probably just use it for journaling. This is from a book about planting lilies. Cute illustrations. Another sprayed paper, and this is a dot matrix paper. This is a page from an art illustration book. Art instruction book. That's what I meant to say. Art instruction. And this is just a line. It was from a big notebook. I folded it over like a record book, vintage. This is scrapbook paper. So this is, I just folded this in half and then built it out by adding this to it. So it makes it a little bit wider. This is from a magazine. And then I tucked in this envelope, and it's from the work basket. Somebody ordered a pattern from the work basket. This needs to be glued together right here. I didn't do anything to it. I didn't put anything in it. I thought this would be for you to insert some things that you wanted to save. And then this is an antique card of poppies. It says Lucille on the back. Somebody wrote that. This is a textured paper. That was kind of fun, and I just glued this lady from the 1930s, I think, from a magazine on there, and then cut around the shape of her to make a fun shaped page. And there's a postcard from that scrapbook paper. This is a pattern from a craft book. Looks like appliques to cut out with embroidery maybe, and I sprayed that also. This is from a catalog of clocks, vintage clocks, and I did a fabric cluster there. This is just a piece of 8.5 by 11 copy paper, and I did a stencil. I think I used a stencil and then I laid it down on top of this, so there's a design there. There's a little bit of a stamp off there, just a under paper that I included, and this is a vintage ledger page. This is the dust jacket from a uppercase Encyclopedia of Inspiration book. I love that they are double-sided. You could take the dust jackets off and turn them inside out and use whatever design you like the best. And it has this, like a crazy quilt kind of a design on one side. And this, I guess it's kind of like candle wicking embroidery. So it's so pretty. And then I just, on the flap, I had this card already made with an engineer's, some kind of a table. And I just collaged on it. So you can write on the back, glue a picture on the back. And then on the back of this, I put a vintage appointment book page that you can write on, and a lady from a magazine. All the ladies in these books, magazine ladies, they're all vintage. And even antique. There's that craft page. And I used music paper on the back of this scrapbook paper with this lady from the 30s or 40s. And this is a fun page. Spring Style Show brought to your home. Shop for these frocks in your own home. Isn't that interesting? And it's glued to graph paper, so you have all that space to write on. My grandson was mowing out there. I'm sure you heard the mower. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sorry that he's mowing. This is desk memorandum sheet. It's vintage. I don't know how old. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And then this is from a very old magazine. And it's advertising gloves. Finger-tipped. Patent finger-tipped silk gloves. And I put some washi tape down the edge here. The other side of that record book page and the art instruction book. And on this side of the map page, I added this lady with this really pretty dress. I glued her to cardstock, and then I tucked in this American Lady shoe advertisement. I love that. I love the drawing. You can even see the art on the stocking where they had to do something to make it the heel. It's just a very artistic and beautiful element there, and it shows up in the drawing. And this is a statement of account sheet from 1939. On this side of the wallpaper, I made a large cardstock pocket and stamped on the sides, and then put this element in from an old magazine. And this is a large card from an old magazine that was in German. I like the drawings, and then I added this lace on it. Lots of space to write on that big card. And then you can write on her too. I think she's from a 1950s magazine, I think. I'm not sure. Teacher's Planner book again. And it had some writing down here, so I just did a little collage. And this is from a vintage magazine. And this was from a catalog, an old 1930s Ward's catalog. And she's advertising the hose, the stockings. And I did this on a video. This is just a list that says things to do today. It's vintage. You have to get it past the seams here. This is from a birthday or anniversary book where it had all the days of the year, and you would turn to the page that you needed to write someone's birthday or anniversary on. And then it has some quotes. It's just a really pretty page. And this was the advertisement that came with this. I cut it off of this image. So you can write on that. It's for Royal Purple Hosiery. That's why I used purple here. the other side of the Miss America lineup and the other side of the flute book. And this is how I built out that first scrapbook page. I added this sheet to it, this little strip, and then glued this illustration from an old magazine. And tucked in here, this is lined with lined paper. I put my signature stamp right there and then signed it. And then this, it's just random paper to write on. Morgan Business Forms. And this is from a 1920 calendar. And it has Flower Girl on it from McGuffey's Eclectic Spelling Book. It's very cute. And then this lady is from the 1950s from an old magazine. And there was a color picture behind her, and the color came through when I used the matte medium. So there's that book, American Girl. This is from a piece of sheet music, and I don't know the name of the name of the song. So I'll just call it Reverie because it looks like she's really in deep thought here. There is a song called Reverie, but I'm sure this isn't it. But again, it has the lace and the metal pieces, the quilt on the side, on the back, and just this beautiful photograph. I think it was a photograph because somewhere on it it said photographer. There's an American magazine image on the back. And inside is an advertisement for Ivory Flakes. So we'll go through this one a little more quickly. I don't think I put it in the other book, but I have these pages from an old autograph book that I'm going to include in the first packet. 2 pages, and it was a good size autograph book. It looks like this. Isn't that pretty? And this one, it was the first page in the book. It has she wrote the recipe for cream puffs and cream pie and some jelly cake. So I put all of those in there, and you can write on the back. This was cut from the cover of a Delineator magazine. You can write on that. And an antique postcard. I like this scrapbook paper with the different alphabet fonts. There's a lady from a 1916 or a 1912. I can never remember which year it was, so I always say both. From a catalog. And that's cut from scrapbook paper. This is from that Time Life book about the 1800s, 1890s. So I must have had more than one of those because that other one was the 1920s. All I have now is pages. A sprayed page, and I stamped the word Paris, and I stamped this seam here. But this is vintage. Another wallpaper piece, and Meredith Bottling Works receipt, and this really pretty lace behind her head. Art instruction. This is the top part of that record book, and it has the spaces at the top for the page number, the date, and then the place, and it says Pennsylvania, PA. So this must have been from some municipal ledger or something. I like this page. I put the music on the back again of the scrapbook paper and this fun image with the pretty colors. The envelope is in this pocket, and I have 2 vintage images. This one, you have graph paper on the back. Lots of space to write. The cards are big because the pages are big. Here's the shaped page. Pretty lady with a parasol. clock page with a fabric cluster. The dust jacket. This one has bolts of, well, maybe not bolts, but they're, I think they're sheets. It's sheet fabric. And this is book spines. So pretty. Love that. And this is the card that I collaged on. It has some sort of a schematic on the back of it. This is from a 1920s or 30s magazine. Here's an image from the front of another, I think a needlework magazine, or I don't really remember, but it's definitely an old one from the 1930s. And we have the desk memorandum, and then this is a set of beauty tools, like a mirror and comb and brush set and manicure sets. These were from a 1930s Montgomery Ward catalog. And I made the pocket out of this Hood Leisure Shoes ad. A lady and her parasol and a dog. I think it's so beautiful. And so there's some another shoe ad tucked in, and the statement of account. This is the wallpaper. And a beautiful image of ladies modeling this dress pattern with different options for the bodice. And these long, slender ladies here on a tag you can write on. And on this teacher's page, this was all writing, so I collaged on all of it. I added some graph paper to write on, added these pieces. This is a vintage wallpaper right here. And look at that fancy hat. She's a real piece cut from a catalog. $5 for that hat. And here's another long, slender lady that I made a pocket out of. And this is the things to do today list. And this other lady from the 40s or 50s. And this lady from the Time Life book. This is 6 new hair dressings for Gadabout. So this was for the lady who liked to go out and go to parties and shows and whatnot. She was the Gadabout. And that's just attached to this piece of that scrapbook paper with another lady here and the birthday book page. This says Miss Texas Pageant on this note paper. And the 1920 calendar page. And we have a seed catalog from 1916, the cover from a seed catalog on the back. So these are nice large journals. I didn't count the pages. I'll have to count the pages and put that count into the description. So I hope that you like these. They were fun to make, and they weren't that hard to do. And I do have at least 2, I think, videos showing how I put these together and filled the pockets. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hope you're having a creative day. Bye-bye.